the scariest monsters throughout the fiction. That's what we're going to be talking about today, okay? And first off, before we get into the video, happy Halloween to all the people that are watching this the day of release, and to all the people that are watching it late. Well, this is just another video for you, okay? And to get into the spooky feel, bro, because right after this, your boy's going to be getting into watching the new Penny, Welcome to Derry It series. I'm about to binge watch that thing because... Brother, some of y'all severely underrated Pennywise. Like y'all really thought, like, with the power of friendship, I'll be able to beat Cthulhu. Brother, get out of here. Get out of here, brother. The giant space turtle's not gonna protect you here, bro. You are nothing but a little carrot for Pennywise over here. And then that got me thinking, dog. What other monsters throughout fiction legitimately like just stick out in my mind? Whether that's like a cool design, whether their ability to instill dread, or just... monsters in general. Like, I'm gonna be real here, dog. Like, this was just supposed to be, like, most powerful monsters. And then it quickly devolved into, yeah, but I gotta bring up Ludwig. Okay, but I do gotta bring up, I do gotta bring up Bart the Clown. Oh my goodness, I do gotta bring up the Black Grail from Trench Crusade. And then it just kept on going and going and going, and then we eventually ended up here. All for this video to just become, let me tell you some of the scariest monsters throughout fiction, bro, okay? Sit back, relax, either put me on in the background while you go clean and get ready for the Halloween party, or you're working on Halloween and I'm here to give you entertainment throughout your lunch break. It doesn't really matter, I'm just here to entertain. If you enjoy this video, please sort of like, comment, and subscribe. We are trying to get to 300,000 subscribers before the end of the year. We are 30,000 subscribers away. It's going to be very close. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It will be very close. But I'm feeling pretty good right about now. Okay, and with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. Let's go. Art the Clown. Brother, I'm sorry, the Terrifier movies are a bit much for me. I'm just going to be honest with you, bro. I think they're better than Saw movies because, I'm sorry, bro, Saw just became funny. It really really did, bro. I'm sorry, there comes the third point. I see a guy get put into the reverse bear trap for the horrible crime of jaywalking. Do I get to the point where I'm like, okay, this is getting very strange to me. This is now getting kind of weird. Terrifier takes that to an absolute 11, bro. I just watched a chick get sawn in half from between the legs to her head. I watched that. That was rough. That was really rough, bro. And I used to have the incorrect take of, okay, well, I mean, like, Art still has to follow the rules of being a human, so he can suffer the consequences of me running the ones, right? No, he's a demonic entity that has superhuman abilities. Of course, because we don't have enough of those. But I get it, bro, because slashers will completely and utterly lose their intimidation factor the moment you realize, oh, okay, well, you're like one good, like... 5 pounds of finger pull away from being sent to the next lobby. Okay, that's not really that scary. Nope, you're dealing with Terrifier. He's a demonic entity that has the ability to induce so much harm upon your bodily vessel that, brother, you're gonna be begging for the other side, dude. And I'm sorry, man. Like, this one does kind of stick with me. And I'll be real here. Let me glaze it a little bit because I have kind of talked it down a little bit. I do believe Art the Clown is probably one of the better slashers in the modern movie landscape, because in the modern movie landscape, you're kind of stuck in between going full, like, okay, it's a demonic possession story, oh, it's a this. Like, nobody really does anything too creative, and slashers kind of get left behind because they're not that scary. And then they did Terrifier, and then it actually turned out to be pretty good. Although very, very difficult to watch, bro. If I'm looking at Art the Clown, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. He's going in a baseline scary, not a very scary, not the scariest. I think like the way that he looks puts him up there. It does kind of knock it down a peg because slashers admittedly can't really go that high. But the brutality of him does put him in a scary, but I think that's a pretty valid take. The Boiled One from the Boiled One phenomenon. Oh my goodness, I love this one, okay? Because, listen, I am a connoisseur of analog horror, and analog horror content just isn't hitting the same as it used to, okay? I think we got out of, like, the analog horror boom, and now there still are some bangers, but, like, we're dealing with the analog horror effect, where, like, there's, like, 15 analog horrors that come out every day, but they're all more or less the same thing. The Boiled One phenomenon, bro. The idea that, like, your TV turns on and then you see this thing speaking to you and literally manifesting itself into your very being and causing you to have sleep paralysis, where it makes it so the only way that you can communicate is through blinks and Morse code because it just breaks down your entire body. And it is meant to be a harbinger of, like, the dark rapture, because there's going to be an angelic rapture and then there's going to be a demonic one where it's going to be, like, the inverse of it, and they're going to try to take all the good people down. I think that's such that's such a cool premise to use as a basis of an analog horror, and the way that it infects people is a cognito hazard, and the way that they were able to contain the boiled one is by turning off all the power in America in the early 2000s. And yeah, no, the rolling blackouts, at least in the universe of the boiled one phenomenon, were actually meant to be a containment measure. And that is such a cool idea, bro. Like, imagine, like, there is, like, there's a cognito hazard where this, like, demonic entity becomes more powerful the more people see it, and people pick up on it early, so they decide to turn off all of the power on the entirety of the country in order to contain this one creature. That's so cool. I really like that, and cognito hazards can kind of become cringe after a while, but I'll be real with you, bro. This one, honestly, I'm gonna put it in a very scary. I think that's a really cool thing. I think the look, I think the voice, I think the setup is really good. I think Boiled One Phenomenon is one of the better series out there, and I think putting it in a very scary is a very good placement. The Gravemind from Halo. I got some stuff that I'm working on with, like, stuff that, like, I cover enough. We'll do, like, like, Gravemind or the Flood from Halo explained in 15 minutes. Like, that's some stuff that I've been playing with. I've been, you know, I don't want to promise too much. I don't want to promise, but it is something that we are working on, brother. People, like, make fun of me for, like, glazing the Flood, and I'm sorry, dog. It is one of the coolest premises in literally any medium. The idea that there was like a precursor race, okay, at the beginning of the universe, and they are essentially the god, like the creators of, like, conscious life, and that they got rebelled by one of their original creations, and that's meant to be like a callback to, like, the rebellion in heaven. And in this story, it's the Forerunners versus the Precursors, and then the Precursors ended up not losing, but they ended up taking themselves out of the equation, and thus turning themselves into essentially, like, God if he turned himself into a fungus zombie creature, and then it later infects all the Forerunners, and that becomes the Flood, which is meant to be a callback to, like, the biblical flood that purged the entirety of the earth of all of its wickedness. And the Flood in Halo is meant to purge the entirety of organic life, because they viewed organic life they viewed intelligent, conscious life as an actual cancer, and the thing that they used to create it was, like, the remains of a god race that became the Flood. And one of the things that it does is it absorbs all the organic life, compiles all of their knowledge, and literally becomes a testament to all of their sins. That's why the Gravemind talks about itself in less of a person and more of, I am what your punishment is. I am a testament to all of the things that you have done and will never do. I am everything and nothing. That is so cool. And I'm sorry, so for anyone that's going to be like, okay, well, you're kind of putting a lot of, like biblical imagery onto, like, that Halo lore. Brother, I'm sorry. They're not subtle about it. The Adam-Eve story is literally written into the Halo lore, and it's meant to be like, oh yeah, and then the Halo rings, well, first off, I'm sorry, like, you could do a full video of how when they were doing the Halo lore, there is a lot of biblical imagery that they put in there, and that's meant to plant the seeds of, like, that's actually what inspired a lot of the Christianic faiths inside of the Halo universe, and it's actually meant to be like a million-year-long game of telephone that it incurred we had. Brother, dude, it's so cool. Brother, the Covenant is literally meant to be the Space Catholic Church. That's literally what it is, bro. I'm sorry. I'm glazing, but, like, brother, I will glaze Halo lore. Halo lore is so good. I'm so hyped for that remake, dude. I'm sorry. I'm putting the great. It's one of the scariest. I'm sorry. I don't care. Glaze. Ludwig, the Holy Blade from Bloodborne. Oh, now I get to talk about Bloodborne, bro. It's Halloween, but it might as well be Christmas, dude. Okay, let's talk about Bloodborne lore a little bit. Okay, so the entirety of the lore of Bloodborne essentially boils down to, before there was anything, there was the old ones, and the old ones were essentially the old gods, and the old gods are like basically Cthulhu, the moon presence, all that stuff. Beyond human comprehension type of deal. Okay, and what ended up happening is that underneath this town of Yharnam, there are built catacombs to worship the old ones, and then they laid to rest, and then you had basically Cthulhu laying in a tomb that became the catacombs under Yharnam. Think of like the Paris catacombs if there was like a Lovecraftian god living underneath Paris. Imagine that. Okay, so what essentially starts happening now is that they start conducting excavations down into the catacombs where they basically find something called the Old Blood. And the Old Blood they view as like this actual magical healing elixir, and it is a healing elixir. They take this healing elixir and they go around basically selling it, and now the Catholic Church essentially becomes a pharmaceutical company, and then the healing church starts giving out this heal yourself. It is the old blood. It will heal all of you. I wonder if anything's going to go bad when we start putting everybody on a blood transfusion from Cthulhu. I wonder if anything's going to go bad. Oh, yep, things go bad. People start turning into werewolves and other monsters. Okay, so what are we going to do? Okay, well, we have to cover up the fact that the healing stuff that we've been giving to everybody might have the side effect that turns them into monsters. So this is what we're going to do. We're not going to stop giving it out. We're going to start basically a mercenary group called the Hunters. And then there's going to be different Hunters guilds. You had the ones... Okay, we're getting into a lot. This will be like in an explained video in the future. But... what essentially happened was that there were different branches of this Hunters Guild, and one of those was Ludwig, and Ludwig was a part of the Church Hunters, and from like the Church's workshop, and essentially they were the ones that were like meant to be co-working with the Healing Church, but they were also meant to clean up their messes, okay? And Ludwig was meant to purge all the impurities, but he was also basically giving himself powers from the Old Blood, and what essentially happened is that he turned himself into this. This is what happens when you combine yourself with a horse and a religious zealot that's defending the Healing Church. You turn into this, and he has the Dark Moon Blade. No, the Moon Greatsword. Brother, absolute peak! I love his design. I love his matchup. I love the fact that throughout the entire matchup, he slowly loses his mind. Where in the beginning, he's an honorable duelist, and he's going to boom, boom, boom. And then by the end of it, he's like... Like, I love that. That's such a... Like, I'm glazing it hard, but we don't talk about the fact that Ludwig is a top 10 Souls boss of all time. I'm sorry, dude. Is he scary? Yeah, I would put him in scary, but he's such a cool character that I'm just going to put him in scary. It actually kind of overshadows it a little bit in terms of, like, where I'm going to put it in scary. Brother, it's actually going to be kind of hard. You know what? I'm moving Terrifier down to spooky because of how stacked everything is right now, dude. The Babadook. Okay. Can I just be honest with you? When I think of the movie The Babadook, I just think about how annoying that child was. Let me tell you something, bro. There are some children in movies that legitimately should just be like vasectomy advertisements, bro. Like I have to now be convinced to want a child after you watch The Babadook. Like to the point that you find out it's like, well, the Babadook was actually trying to influence the mother to get rid of the child. That's why the child starts attacking the mom, because he can see the spirit's influence. And maybe the kid wasn't that annoying, and it was actually the Babadook influencing it and basically egging it on, trying to make it worse. And if that's the case, fine. But I'm going to be honest with you. If that was the Babadook's plan, it probably would have worked with me. It probably would have worked. That kid was something else, bro. That kid was something else. I like that it was less of a physical thing, and it is a physical thing by the end of it. And I don't know how to feel about that. The fact that it's more or less kind of like a pet in a basement. That kind of ruins it for me. This is how I feel about the Babadook movie. The buildup is so good that the payoff couldn't meet it. The payoff of the Babadook is so like, oh. Like, I would have liked it better if there was no Babadook at all, and this entire thing was the mom imagining it. That would have been such a cooler premise to me. But the fact that we kind of ended in, okay, well, the Babadook's real, but it gets trapped in a basement, and you can get rid of it with the power of motherhood. Okay, bro, I'm gonna be real here. That's kind of lame. That one is kind of lame. Great movie. Great movie. The monster reveal at the end is kind of lame, so I'm going to put it I'm going to put it right here. Tommy Taffy. Yeah, bro, I'm sorry. We got to I only talk when I do Elias with the Row Monsters, I only do one. I only do Tommy Taffy. But for Halloween, for a Halloween special, I'm going to give another one that you guys don't know about. But Tommy Taffy, I think I've told this story a couple times. Tommy Taffy is one of the most disturbing characters I think I've ever seen in fiction ever. He's featured on a couple of disturbing videos because the idea of like a third parent, that's the story, coming in trying to raise your child, and the whole thing that he does is just abuse everybody, and he's basically like a supervillain that's completely and utterly invulnerable, and even if you do find a way to get rid of him, he comes back and has super strength. I'm sorry, bro. Like that kind of loses me a little bit because it's like, okay, Elias, are you trying to tell us something, dog? Like, what was your, like, I would love to ask Elias what his home life was like, because I'm noticing a lot of patterns here. I'm noticing a lot. Tommy Taffy, I'm gonna put him in a scary, actually, I'm gonna put him in a very scary. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. The third parent messed with me quite a bit. I'm keeping this one short because I've talked about him quite a bit, and I know the normal watchers of this are gonna be like, next one, show me the next one. Tommy Taffy goes in very scary, though. If you haven't read The Third Parent, probably don't read it, but if you do, you'll understand why. Putting him in very scary. Muck from the Black Farm. Bro, okay, so you would only know about Muck if you've actually read the book The Black Farm. So if anyone who doesn't know, so Elias Withrow, he has a few published books, okay? Elias wrote The Third Parent. He wrote The Black Farm, which is a short story that you can watch. A short story that you can read. If you watch Creepcast, you can do the full thing. It's pretty good. And then he had 2 full-length books that are meant to be a sequel to The Black Farm, with a lot of using the same characters, okay? And a character that's in it is Muck. Muck is an awful character. You hate this guy. So Muck is a pig demon, because the pig that's in charge of the Black Farm tries to create his own versions of people. So, but it's all like becomes bastardized because nobody can create a human like God can. So he creates these pig demon hybrids. And these pig demon hybrids, low-key, kind of have like their own hierarchy. They have their own names. They have their own personality, but it's all like evil. And one of them is Muck. Muck is in charge of a little piece of farmland called the razor fields, or the needle fields. And they are as bad as you think it is. It is so bad, dude. Okay? But that's not the worst thing that he does, okay? The main character of the Black Farm, okay, is a normal guy. He ends up there because, you know, the circumstances of how you get to the Black Farm. So's up there, walks around, immediately regrets all of his decisions immediately. And he gets taken by a character called Muck. And Muck... Okay, so Muck takes off his eyelids, takes off his arms, and then proceeds to... involuntarily. Yes, no. And then proceeds to Griffith, the main character, with the other person. And y'all wonder why I haven't covered the Black Farm books, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like, I can handle disturbing stuff. That entire sequence of Muck is so bad that I had to pause it, take a breath, and be like, dude, this is one of the worst things I've ever listened to. Put it back on. Muck is... I still find myself saying to myself, bro, Muck is one of the worst characters. I'm putting him one of the scariest. I would rather deal with Tommy Taffy than Muck. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. I don't know if I've ever talked about Muck on this channel before, but now I am. Muck is one of the scariest characters in the entirety of fiction. No joke, bro. He's a problem. Well, I mean, like, how didn't you return to the lobby when he did all of that to you? You respawn. That is why the Black Farm is so bad. You suffer all of that, and then you come back. You know what, bro? Next up. You know what? Next one. This one's pretty heavy. Pennywise. Okay, you know what, bro? After watching the first episode of It, Welcome to Derry, which is the inspiration to this video, yeah, bro, some of y'all forgot who Pennywise was, man. I'm sorry, dude. Y'all literally were like, with the power of friendship, shut up! You think you're beating an actual Lovecraftian level deity? Well, he's not even top 10 in the verse. Brother, what do you mean? I mean, like, of course he's not top 10 in the verse. There's characters called the Crimson King, which are literally like, think of the devil, but somehow more powerful, like an actual SCP level entity. Pennywise is such an overpowered character for the setting that, like, I want you to watch the first It movie, and you're gonna wonder, like, why Pennywise is so nonchalant about everything. And it's like, brother, because he's never remotely been challenged. Like, I want you to think about how crazy this is. Like, by the end of the movie, he probably thinks to himself, brother, how do these kids have so much plot armor? Were they sent by the giant god turtle Maturin? Oh, that's another thing. The entirety of the Stephen King universe is on the back of a space turtle called Maturin. That's implied that the entirety of the Big Bang was him throwing up the universe. And also, Pennywise is the cosmic enemy of that. And first off, brother, what an actual insane level of imbalance. You mean to tell me that, like, the equal to Pennywise is the literal creator of the universe, but Pennywise is like relegated to, like, a small town named Derry? Brother, I'd be salty too. What do you mean? My brother gets to be the space turtle and I just get to do this? That's it? But I mean, yeah, the point that I'm trying to make here, bro, is no. Rage baiting him doesn't actually work. He doesn't need you to be scared. He can take you out whenever he wants. It's literally just a point of like, hey, how do I want my food cooked? That's literally what it is. He's being, like, honest here. Children taste sweeter. That's why. Their fears are easier to do, so it's easier to cook that. That's all it is. I'm sorry, bro. Like, Pennywise is going in a very scary, dog. Pennywise has to go in a very scary. That's not even a remote question. The Weeping Angels from Doctor Who. Brother, even if you haven't seen Doctor Who, you know what a weeping angel is because they are such an unsettling concept that they influence pop culture. The idea that there is an angel statue that only moves when you're not looking at it, and then the moment you're not looking at it and it gets close enough to you, it just instantly annihilates you, and if you blink, it comes towards you, is such a cool monster dynamic. No, it's such a cool monster idea that it has influenced so much to the point that anything that does that is meant to be a callback to a weeping angel. I love that. I think that's one of the coolest aspects, like one of the coolest ideas of a monster that you can see, and you know directly what it leads back to, that being Doctor Who Weeping Angels. Even if you don't think the Weeping Angels are scary, you probably are terrified by other stuff that's inspired from it. Like, literally, like, you can probably think of a monster that has the Weeping Angel effect, and you have to call it back to the Weeping Angels. I'm going to put it in a baseline scary. Some people kind of overrate it a little bit, but if you, like, saw the Weeping Angels as a kid, that one would probably mess with you. But I put it in, like, a baseline scary. The Black Grail from Trench Crusade. One of my favorite zombie concepts in the entirety of fiction. I love the Black Grail from Trench Crusade. Okay, so the Black Grail. I need to set the scene really quick. Okay, so Trench Crusade takes place in a universe where the last crusade, they accidentally opened a gateway to hell and then started a never-ending crusade between the realms of man and the domain of hell, where there's this constant rules that are being played where demons can't... So the demonic lords can't directly participate in the conflicts of man, but they can curse people that can do that. And they can do pestilence, they can do other stuff, so there's a bunch of demonic lords. One of the most powerful ones is Beelzebub, and Beelzebub is seen as the demonic lord of plague. And one of his creations that he, literally concocted over hundreds of years was the Black Grail. And the Black Grail is meant to be a zombie virus. Let me tell you how it works. So, the Black Grail is meant to be the inverse of, like, the creation of life. It's meant to be a mockery of the creation of life. So, what it does is that when it infects somebody, it likes to infect pregnant women. And then the pregnant women, when their babies are infected, they have to give birth to this infected child. But they don't give birth the normal way. They literally explode. And then these infected black grail creatures come out, and they're like these zombie thralls, kind of look like a Wendigo. Okay? And then, because the pregnant lady is infected with it, they actually heal back and then proceed to give birth over and over and over again. And then the black grail creatures, because they are technically the child of this woman, will keep her fed and keep her alive over the course of as long as they are not taken out. So the only way to get out of this fate is if somebody goes in and purges it with holy fire. Dog, that is one of the coolest concepts I've ever seen. And then they have a bunch of like different like versions. Like they can become brutes. They can become like these like fly creatures. They can like basically become like these birds. It's such a cool concept that like, do I put it at the same level of a flood? No. The Black Grail is, I gotta put the Black Grail in like a very scary. I really do. I like the Black Grail as a concept for a zombies thing. That when we do the Trench Crusade, that will be in the Explain series because I think that's such a cool concept. The tripods from War of Worlds. I don't care what any of y'all say, bro. Like, yeah, no, I think War of Worlds is kind of dumb because the idea that, like, these super advanced alien beings came to Earth and they didn't realize that, like, yeah, no, you might be infected by, like, something that is super mundane here that'll absolutely squad wipe you if you breathe it. So that's why they're trying to terraform the Earth, but they didn't terraform it good enough, so they end up basically taking themselves out. And here's the reason why I think it's dumb. We already think of this, and we don't even have the technology that they do. So, like, that's like skipping 15 steps out of the technological skill tree and being surprised that, like, oh my goodness, we actually have to worry about diseases. But everything up to that point, the design, the horns that they do, the trumpets that signal their coming and the ending of humanity, that's such a cool concept that ties into, like, the actual trumpets of Revelation. There's a lot that they're doing there that I think is, like, a cool juggling act. But I'm going to be real here. It does kind of hinge on, like, a spooky. It's a spooky just because I know how it ends, and it kind of ruins it for me because, like, how are you so dumb? But I think spooky is a fair placement. SCP-096, the Psy Guy. Basically like a Wendigo-built creature, but if you see its face, it automatically it's going to take you out. It doesn't matter where you are on the planet, it'll go at Mach, like, 3, run you down, take you out, and if anybody sees its face, you're probably going to get taken out too. So that's the fear. You have a cognito hazard, an unstoppable force, crazy violence. Like, you have a whole lot of stuff to add up. The problem is, dog, is it's not to me. Like, it's not and Power Scalers did kind of ruin it because why am I seeing the Psy Guy versus Conquest? Why am I seeing the Psy Guy versus One Punch Man? Why am I seeing this? And y'all have power scaled the Psy Guy to an absolutely hilarious degree because it's kind of like, yes, like, no, you might not be able to get rid of him. Well, actually, okay. Technically, there have been creatures that have been able to stalemate him and actually put him into a state of, like, he doesn't want to fight anymore. So the idea that, like, One Punch Man or Conquest or Thrag wouldn't have a chance is so dumb to me because I'm kind of like, really? Like, are you being for real now? Like, that's how we're going to scale this? And I think that's the part that kind of loses me is, like, the power scaling on top of it. I think it's a cool concept. I really like the design. But it loses me a little bit when they go a little bit too far into it. I'm going to put SCP-096. Top of spooky, I think, is a fair one. The alternates from Mandela Catalog. Listen, you can't do a Halloween monster video without talking about the alternates from Mandela Catalog. It's one of the best analog horror series. And kind of ruined it a little bit because so many people tried to copy Mandela Catalog. Mandela Catalog takes place in a universe where all of the Abrahamic faiths were basically taken over by one demonic threat, basically the false angel Gabriel. And what happened since then is that there's no praying that you can do to get out of this. So they essentially can take out the entirety of humanity and take as much time as they possibly can, because humanity's gonna fall regardless. And what their plan is to replace people with these demonic hosts called alternates. And the alternates are kind of like, they are not the best at becoming people like straight away. So it takes time for them to become and look like you. And things that they can do is basically infect your mind and make you do the dirty work for them. I think you know what I'm saying. And it works so well as a scare, but they can't directly hurt you. Well, they're not going to directly hurt you, but they can convince you psychologically, and it's implied with some supernatural abilities, for you to ice yourself for them. I like that. I really do like that. Like, that's a cool concept. There's a cool design. That's an awesome premise. All things together, I'm going to put the alternates from Mandela Catalog in one of the scariest things. Everything from the looks, the setup, how it's revealed. I think that is one of the scariest things that you can do, and I'm going to put it in that scariest. The Wendigo. Now, we can do Wendigo from Until Dawn, but this is actually my way of like shoehorning in like the actual mythology behind the Wendigo. So in Native American mythology, the Wendigo and the Skinwalker are two completely different things. The Wendigo is actually meant to be a dark spirit that can possess people who are greedy. And you hear that and you're like, okay, so how does that go? So let's take it up deep a little bit. So the Wendigo is an evil spirit that can possess people that consume the flesh of another person, and it happens in winters. So what you can fill in the gaps there is that this was meant to be like a taboo story of like, okay, well, if you participate in consuming another person, which is no, do not do that. And that would mostly happen in winters regardless, because there'd be less food, less animals, and that would be when it would be most likely happen. You would become an evil person, and then that evil person would become the Wendigo. Even the description of the Wendigo. Pale, okay, we're in the winter, okay. Sickly, okay, yeah, you're not eating. Very, like, emaciated, okay, yeah, you're also not eating. Driven mad by hunger. Yes, you would, to get to that point where you're trying to consume another person, you would probably be driven mad by it. But this is where it gets interesting. And one thing that can happen if you try to consume another person, especially if you're consuming brain matter, you can actually get a form of mad cow disease. And mad cow disease is also a super interesting rabbit hole, because mad cow disease essentially happens is when you put cow remains in the feed that you feed the other cows, and they can contract mad cow disease, which is just mad cow disease. That's a whole other thing. But what these people are getting is a prion disease from consuming other humans, and they become crazy, they become more violent, and that would be the actual scientific explanation over what a Wendigo is. Wendigo hunters were an actual job title for a minute, which is so hard, by the way. But the idea that, like, they came across, like, an actual prion disease, and the only way that they were able to, like fill in the gaps is that it's an actual supernatural, like, dark deity. That's so cool to me. I like, history's so fun, especially when you look in, like, Native American mythology, because the stories that they came up with to fill in the gaps of what science, like, was not around early enough to do is so cool. It's so cool. Now, if we get into, like, modern Wendigo designs, like, no, it is the emaciated, almost goblin-like, blonde, gaunt, but in fact, super effective predators. They have the ability to mimic, and they have a type of intelligence that makes them even more capable for hunting prey. I'm gonna put the Wendigo, honestly, dog. This is putting, because it's my favorite Native American, like folktale, I'm gonna put it in one of the scariest. Bro, get mad at me. I'm gonna put it in one of the scariest. Jeff the Killer from Creepypasta. So dumb. It is so dumb, bro. And I'm sorry, dude. Like, I remember Jeff the Killer when I was in 4th grade was, like, one of, like, the, oh my goodness, bro, Jeff the Killer's one of the scariest. No, he's not. No, he's not. Bro, Jeff over here is literally just a 13-year-old edgy kid that apparently has super strength, and he got into a bit of a fight at a birthday party, and his face got bleached and burned, and he was doing it to help his brother, and then he ices his brother by the end of the story, and he has comically bad parents, and then he's actually meant to be, like, kind of a heartthrob to, like, the weird, confused, creepypasta women. That's another thing, dog, okay? Like, judging by a lot of the stories that were written by, like, but for a lot of the fanfic that was done for Creepypasta, there was a lot of very, very confused women in those forums, dog. there was a lot of very confused. They were very confused, and it's very concerning to watch. Like, no, you need help. You need help. And it loses it for me because it's like you could have done more, but the explanation ruined everything involved with Jeff the Killer. So I'm going to put it in kind of lame. I think Jeff is very lame, actually. No, just lame. I'm going to put him in kind of lame. Nah, very lame. Uzumaki. Now, okay, Uzumaki, which means spiral in Japanese, essentially what happens, and in the small town in Japan, there is like a straight Lovecraftian curse that happens, and it's like a cycle that repeats. Well, spirals start showing up, and it culminates in basically the awakening of a Lovecraftian god called the Uzumaki, or the spiral. But what happens is some of the coolest examples of body horror that you can see within fiction. You have people just straight up manifesting spirals in their face. You have snail people. You have people shoving themselves in the boxes and becoming spirals. And then when you get rid of the body, they become a smoke spiral. It's so cool. It's so cool, dude. The build-up in Uzumaki is one of the most effective that I think I've seen in any piece of horror media. And the fact that it doesn't try to over-explain it to you because it's literally beyond human comprehension. And here's the truth, dog. If you're gonna do the truth is beyond human comprehension, do you know what you can't do? Explain it in very, very vivid detail. Like this is where Lovecraft actually starts losing me. Oh my goodness, the Lovecraftian deity Azabapath is beyond complete and utter human comprehension. So what am I going to do? I'm going to describe it in very, very vivid detail to the point that everybody knows what Cthulhu looks like. Brother, that's where it loses me. That's really where it does. Like, weirdly enough, Pennywise actually does that really well too, because Pennywise is a form that your body can understand, that your eyes can understand, and his actual form is so incomprehensible, it makes you brain dead if you see it. And in Uzumaki, you can't actually comprehend the deity, so your mind makes up the spiral to fill in the gaps. And I really like that. I'm going to put it in very scary. And there you go. Those are some of the scariest monsters in fiction. This is your Halloween special, and I hope you have a very, very good one. And if you want to give me a little bit of a treat, not a trick, please consider a like, comment, and subscribe. We are trying to get to 300,000 subscribers before the end of the year. That is the goal. And honestly, bro, I'm blessed to make it this far. I just make videos. You guys seem to enjoy them. And I'm just trying to figure out the stuff that you like to make. I've been able to experiment with a bunch of different types of content. I've been able to stream. I've been able to do this. I've been able to do that. I'm blessed to do what I do. And I am very happy that you guys have put me in this position, man. And it is insane. I hope you guys enjoy this Halloween. Do it with some loved ones. Have a good time. Have a good time. Hit the bell icon to stay notified. Hit all for everything. And I will see you all in the next video. Adios, guys.